Good morning. I'm back. It's been a minute. And trust me, we're gonna be here a while today. Dishes have, yeah. Oops. I don't know if you've ever had like busy seasons in life, but it's been busy, which in all good things. So I believe last time we spoke, reading the book, we read on page 172. Remember, Bhojapada's quote is, "Don't be afraid of new beginnings. Don't shy away from new people, new energy, new surroundings. Embrace new chances at happiness." Yeah. So I started at the Bridge Healing Center. We met in April after the Peep Show when my daughter wanted to do the Peep Show, which is in Carroll County. It's an art exhibit. The Carroll Art Center, I believe, does. It's a fundraiser made out of Easter peeps. It is not inappropriate. It is child friendly and all that. So my daughter wanted to make a Peep Show exhibit, and I did a big dollhouse a couple years ago, and it's huge. Like, you need like wheels. It's like a old Barbie dollhouse I painted and painted peeps on it. Had peeps on it. Did tons of stuff with it, and I needed a new home for it. The point being, it's been really fun having a new beginning and meeting new people almost every day at the bridge of consigners and stuff. But just in general, doing new things it's nothing like continuing with what you're already doing, but it's nice to meet new people and try new things and network and build community and all that. Now we're on page 173 on ways people positively deal with their craft, and one is anti-craft advocates. So this group cares about situations that cause crap for others, laws, injustice, distribution of food, wealth, the environment, etc. I have a little image that says, "Stop creating such a crappy environment." They're anti-crap advocates. This group tends to not be scammed by crappy compensators. Their challenge is to remember to stay balanced, deal with their own crap, and stay connected. Nelson Mandela said, "To deny people their human right is to challenge their humanity." Some anti-crap advocates are famous and want to help others deal with their own problems. Many write books, have podcasts, talk about legislation and petitions. Steve Harvey said, "My calling is to help people, to teach people, to share with people until I die. I can never stop doing that. I can't. I don't want to." Bertrand Russell said, "Be isolated, be ignored, be attacked, but be in doubt, be frightened, but do not be silenced." One of my high school friends is actually like training teachers on how to help neurodivergence. Our bunny is doing something crazy. I just heard him. He's got like a tunnel that's up. So like she's like helping like create a better environment for others. So there's a lot of ways people can be like anti-crap advocates and advocate for positive changes and all of that type of thing. Let me turn the page and dry my hands. Oh, so many dishes. We're gonna be here like for, I had a client, a cancellation open, and I'm actually like a little relieved to, I really enjoy my clients. Like, I get along well with them, but sometimes like with just having too much on your plate, sometimes you're like, "Well, I needed a morning off." Not that I didn't want to see my client, but or whatever reason. It's just one of those like the transition from moving from one office to another office and setting up a whole other office is like, when you see it, you'll understand, because you're like, "Oh, she painted all the walls. She's trying to hang things from the ceiling. She's doing this, this, and this, and making new shelves." And yeah. So we're on page 174, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Michael Franti, who's a musician I enjoy, born 1966 in the song "Crazy, Crazy, Crazy." "No life's worth more than any other. No sister's worth less than any brother. No life's worth more than any other." Dorothy Day said, "We are the nation, the most powerful, the most armed, and we are supplying money to the rest of the world where we are not ourselves fighting. We are eating while there is famine in the world." So there's a lot of people that like really want to end world hunger that have lived throughout history. She was 1897 and 1980. Lily Tomlin, born 1939. "I always wondered why somebody does doesn't do something about that, then I realized I was somebody. Zendaya, born 1996. That's a person I plan on being for a very long time. Someone who stands up, someone who is an advocate for people, even if it's for something that some people think is only hair. I think it's fair. I wrote it wrong. Oh, it is only hair. I think it is hair. Okay. I think it's more than just that. I want to be a spokesperson for self-love and for diversity. Page 175, hashtag change the world. Annie Besant, someone ought to do it, but why should I? Someone ought to do it, so why not I? But these two sentences lie whole centuries of moral evolution. Someone ought to do it, but why should I? Someone ought to do it, why not I? I love the point your finger to, what can I do, right? Not what can you do, but what can I do? It's like much more empowering. Albert Einstein said, the world would not be destroyed by those who do evil things, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Justin Bieber, I'm not fighting my nature, but if I believe in something, I stand up for it. M. Rose, you will never forget a person who came to you with a torch in the dark. Beth Clark, in a book, Kisses from Katie, people who really want to make a difference in the world usually do it in one way or another. And I've noticed something about people who make a difference in the world. They hold the unshakable conviction that individuals are extremely important, that every life matters. They get excited over one smile. They are willing to feed one stomach, educate one mind, and treat one wound. They aren't determined to revolutionize the world all at once. They're satisfied with small changes. Over time, though, the small changes add up. Sometimes they even transform cities and nations, and yes, the world. Robin Sharma, you'll never change the world if you're worried about being liked. Jackie Fresco, if you think we can't change the world, it just means you're not one of those that will. Yes, I'm one of those. I liked the idea of trying to change the world. Good morning, someone tuned in. And she's actually a world changer. Claire does helping families all over the place. I'll have to find the thing. But, yeah. Oh, you'll have to rewatch what I already read. It was an amazing, it's all about, I'll read the top page again. Someone ought to do it, but why should I? Someone ought to do it, so why not I? And it's really neat, like, getting involved and helping the community. You just meet other people that are helping their community, and they've been doing it a lot longer, and it's really inspiring to see, like, so many people doing so much. Yeah, and everyone doing something is just like that positive ripple effect. And hopefully the news will catch on, because I feel like it's still negative, and I'm like, people need to hear the positive. Like, yeah. Okay, and we are on page 176. So we have been talking about anti-crap advocates, but now we're on crap-aware therapist, which I would say I'm holding this book up with a whole bunch of stuff because it's heavy. And crap-aware therapists are nurturing, kind, non-judgmental space. Hold a non-judgmental space. Understand life is hard, and dealing with healing from crap can be a long emotional process. Patient understands this whole book all about the many facets of crap, grasps psychodynamic complexities, believe all can heal, and has done substantial self-help, self-aware, peaceful, trained as an anti-crap coach, crappy therapist. So there's crap-aware therapist versus crappy therapist. So a crappy therapist, find a new therapist if you have a crappy therapist. A crappy therapist feels cold, not friendly, feel judged negatively, thinks your problems are insignificant, minimizes them, promotes denial, repression, does not promote healing, impatient, does not have psychodynamic understanding, may personally not be healed, inexperienced with self-care, dealing with their own crap, countertransference may happen. I'm not a therapist for every person. we're going to get more into the book. There's some people that are codependent on things that I'm not as much. So if you're like somebody that likes to like heal within and all of that, I'm a good therapist. But if you want to have your child look a certain way, perform a certain way, I'm like, I interview parents before I'll see their child, because I'm like, no, I'm all about self-love and finding your own way and not transferring my personal expectations onto my kids. So I'm like, I'm not. That's another topic. I've had some amazing parents that I've met too that are just phenomenal, that I'm like, yeah, you're doing it right. But Hippocrates the second, 460 to 370 BC. Before you heal someone, ask them if they are willing to give up the things that make them sick. That's a big one, because some people don't want to change. And when you see that a lot in relationships, when the person wants their significant other to change but not reflect on how they can be better in the relationship, and you're like, like, if you want to make something better, there's sacrifices or change of insights, or there's sometimes work. Starhawk, born Miriam Simos, 1951. When we are not allowed to regain compassion, to admit our fear, to share our grief and heal our sorrows, we become less effective advocates for the very things we are fighting for. Yeah, somebody was like, you should get involved in the health department, all of those types of things, and this and that. And I'm like, grassroots is where you see they play a huge role, right? They really do. But when it comes to like compassion and connecting, like even as a therapist, like I love being a therapist, but like I like doing grassroots stuff too, and both have an important role. But like the grassroots people, hugely important, because that's like the compassion and the healing and stuff can happen in therapy offices, but also like in like really like, what's the right word, like accepting, non-judgmental environments. So we are on page 177, crap aware peers. This group has the ability to encourage other people on their journey anti-crap missions. Peers can relate to your struggles and give advice that has worked for them. They help break the feeling of isolation. Ryan Seacrest, 1974. I'm a big advocate for being around the things that you want to do eventually, and being around people who are doing them. So you have peer support, you have NAMI.org. Dave Lillis said, be an encourager. The world has plenty of critics. C.S. Lewis in The Four Loaves said, friendship, ... is born at the moment when one man says to another, what, you too? I thought that no one but myself. And he lived 1898 to 1963. Gloria Steinman, born 1934. The final stage of healing is using what happens to you to help other people. Brene Brown, 1965. One day you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. John Dutton in Yellowstone season 5. I do not know who wrote that to give proper credit. I think sometimes God gives us tragedies so we can pass along how we survived it to the next generation. No, she commented. But I think that's huge. And the person who actually commented, she shares publicly about losing her. I hope it's okay. You guys don't know who it is because I didn't say a last name. And she's not a client. She lost her grandson naturally to natural causes, and just processing that grief of helping her daughter heal from that loss and helping her heal from that loss and all of that. Like, she's doing it publicly, and I'm like, when I was like 12 or 13 in 8th grade, we lost my sister, who was like a stillborn. She lived 5 minutes to my knowledge, and I got there afterwards and I got to hold her. But back in 1996 or so, or 1995, people didn't talk about things like that. It was just silence. There wasn't like memorial art or healing or like Every Life Matters art. Like, that didn't exist 30 years ago now, so it's like a really neat, like, I just feel like from all these different losses, people are sharing their stories and really like creating that how do we heal from this? Like, how do you hold your dreams in your hand and they're not there? You know, like, it's hurt, and it's definitely, like, if you haven't, yeah, because I remember, like, when I was, like, 12, like, because it was around, like, I had a birthday, but I was, like, around 12, I was, like, I'm gonna have a little sister, and this and that, and, like, I, like, had my whole life planned out over being an awesome big sister. My older sister was an awesome big sister for my younger brother, and I was, like, that's gonna be me. And, so, you know, it really was devastating, and I can only imagine it being your own baby, like, but my little sister was my baby, you know, and, so it's one of those, like, when dreams are lost, but, like, I don't know. Crap Aware peers are also, like, the whole AA movements and the NA movements, and so many people, it's like there's lots of support groups for this and that, and cancer survivor support groups, or cancer loss survivor support groups, but there's, like, even the book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents book, my boss had me read and recommended to clients, just knowing there's other people who have had emotionally immature parents is, like, solidarity for people. You know, there's just so much of, like, your hard things, the things that are, like, the most crappy, like, can connect you to other people that have gone through it. Oh, I actually met the person who's online now because this one woman, like, threw my name under the bus because I asked, like, a question on something that was kind of critical, and it was like, oh, you must be blah, 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 and I was like, what? Like, it was totally out of place and, like, no validity or anything right to it, and I was like, what? And then apparently this person did it to, like, countless people, so, like, all these people that she, like, threw under the bus for no reason, like, found me, and, like, we made, like, all these, like, new friendships, and you're like, oh, we all experienced this crappy person, you know, but, like, so sometimes crappy experiences, like, people that have a bad teacher together, it's bonding, like, yes, it's awful, but you're like, you had her too? Oh my gosh. Bad, you know, it's just, a lot of the bad things really create the best connections, and I mean, no one wants to go through them, but, oh man, Curse to Cures is 178, but I'm on Crap Aware. Oh, I am on that page. Yeah, I am on that page. Yay, I love this page. This quote was from Jenna Shriver, who's an amazing local woman and inspiring. And she just did it on Facebook, and she said it was fine. It was, do I have the date? She wrote it 12/21/2021 at 11:11 p.m. And it's like hashtag Jenna Writes. With the enemy, curse to cures. What the enemy has made to curse us and used people to speak curses, God is going to flip it and turn the curse into cures. Watch, it's happening. Let's come into agreement and speak cures and life and blessings over our nation together. Quote found many places, author unknown, heard mess into message, but only God can turn a mess into message, a test into testimony, a trial into triumph, a victim into a victory. God is good all the time. So I've seen that shared many places. I don't know who actually started it. Steve Wentworth said, some of the most generous people have no money. Some of the wisest people have no education. Some of the kindest people were hurt the most. Well, and I am overly educated, but I definitely do not, I think lived experience holds so much. I guess it depends on what you learn from your lived experience, right? So some people have an awful experience and learn nothing. So it's not like, oh, everyone that went through it got this amazing life lesson and turned crap into fertilizer, grew something beautiful. But those that really, like, hit rock bottom, got back up, like, you know, yeah, school can't teach you that. You know, I remember reading about, like, severe depression before studying it, before I experienced it, and I was like, oh, yeah, reading it in a book and experiencing it are totally different. Rick Warren said God changes caterpillars into butterflies, sand into pearls, and coal into diamonds using time and pressure. He's working on you too. 2 Corinthians 1:4, the Apostle Paul said, and there's a lot of ... God who comforts us all us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. So some of these like ideas are new, like peer support and all that. So I was like, it's in the Bible. Like, and the Bible is not that old. Like when it's like, you know, Socrates and all of them are like 500 years before that, I think. I could be wrong, but you know, it's still pretty. It's not like new. Oh, peers. I'm like, it's in the Bible too. Like nothing new under the sun often. So page 179. Hashtag peer wisdom and support. Stephanie Sparkles wrote, I love when people that have been through hell walk out of the flames carrying buckets of water for those still consumed by fire. George Foreman, 1949. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just learn from the guys who have already done it well. You need a mentor, a seasoned coach who is willing to share his wisdom and experience with you. Ask someone who has already been successful to guide you. Giotti de Bondon, 1267 and 1337. The sincere friends of this world, as the ship lights in the stormiest of nights. Amy Williams found quote on Facebook, The Cool Shady Tree. We need more people who are willing to say, I've been there and I'm here. You can always talk to me without judgment. And the idea of this book is people can give it and be like, I'll talk to you about anything in it. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm comfortable with all of it. And we're going to go into, like, we've already gone into a lot of stuff. And we're only on page 179 of the 500 plus pages. Emily Marotine, 10. Some days you will give light, other days you will receive light. Neither one makes you superior or inferior. It's a balance we all participate. Jennifer Gale, some days you will be the light for others, and some days you will need some light from them. As long as there is a light, there is hope, and there is a way. What I love, though, is, you know, I share my story, and like the hardest days is when I was over a decade ago, like, well over a decade ago, suicidal, and it was like, those days were just so hard to just get through. Like, I'm most proud of, like, those days, because it was like, it was a lot harder than being a parent or like doing outreaches, like just surviving when your brain's like depressed and you're not thinking clearly, you can't compose thoughts, you're having racing new negative intrusive thoughts, like that's it. You doubt all past happiness or like you're just in this like huge deep, I don't even know if pit of despair is accurate enough, but like you feel buried and like hopeless, right? So surviving those days, that's the hero. Like that was hard. I needed a lot of light and a lot of self-work. But, you know, I think having someone else be a light for you is such a blessing so that you can be a light for others. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to dry some stuff. I don't know if I want to stop. There's just so much, and usually I like pause it to dry, and then I change my shirt so I don't get confused when I edit these, because I'm not like that quick. But I think you're just gonna be stuck with me this morning. I hope you don't mind. If you do mind, you can just like tune out or not watch. It's just like I'm overloaded and have time. Alright, well, I'm gonna turn the page and start drying more. We are up to page 180. Ooh, Power of Peers. So Daniel Fisher is from the National Empowerment Center. Oh, we'll do another Emily Marotine. If there was a way I could edit to pronounce names, but I don't think I'm going to have the energy. But I'm able to hopefully have the pages over here or something. If you want to know where to find your contribution to the world, look at your wounds. When you learn how to heal them, teach others, right? So that's the whole message of that. So Dr. Daniel Fisher's in the next quote, and he's from the National Empowerment Center. It's power2u.org. He wrote We Are the Light, We Are the Change in 2007. And I quote him a couple of times in an article, I think. But I think I can get these up. We are the change. We are the people who have been to the depths of our lives when We are the people who have found light in the times of despair. We are the people who are bringing light and hope back to others. We are the change, and we are the light in the system, in the society, and the change is happening now. We are making this a society of the people, for the people, and by the people who have been labeled with mental illness, as well as those who have not been labeled. Lara Jean Truman, you can't heal the people you love. You can't make choices for them. You can't rescue them. You can promise them that they won't journey alone. You can loan them your map, but this trip is theirs. And as a therapist, it's like, I truly like, it's really neat. When I'm in my chair, like as a therapist, I'm like in tune. Like I'm focused and I'm there for the client. I had one client recently be like, you were on TV. I was like, yeah, how are you doing? So it's not about me. It's 100% about them. And I don't dismiss it, but I'm like, yeah, I do outreach for suicide prevention in different ways. And then I just change the topic. I don't go off on me tangents usually. But, you know, it's like I try to help clients with everything I've learned in education, everything I've read. And I feel like my own journey coming through it just kind of, people can tell it's genuine, that I do believe they can recover. I do share my story on stages and in an Anani blog and on books and on video and all that stuff, but like not as a therapist. Like they can, like if insurance is paying, not for me to talk about myself. If they want to watch it, I'm like, I can be like, here's my YouTube. Or, that's not, I don't know. But Richard Rohr said, transform people. And sometimes people hear about people going through all this stuff and recovering, and I just feel like the smart people are the ones that don't have to go through it and just learn from all those that can share our scars so they don't have to have the same scars, right? So the 8th topic of, I have to move this book over, I can't see half the words, but the 8th category, and there's no order, they're just like how I brainstorm categories of people that really like did the work to not be crappy and heal their wounds, right? The 8th category is supporters and friends. I could add allies if I wanted, but here we go. Ooh, if you haven't read Henry Nouwen, he's I'm going to quote him, but he's a good author. When we honestly ask ourselves which person in our lives means the most to us, we often find that it is those who, instead of giving advice, solutions, or cures, have chosen to share our pain, touch our wounds with a warm and tender hand. A friend who can be silent with us in a moment of despair or confusion, who can stay with us in an hour of grief and bereavement, who can tolerate not knowing, not curing, not healing, and face with us the reality of our powerlessness. That is a friend who cares. And I think that's a huge one too, is that even in my own journey, just like somebody, I visited Westminster Bible Church, which I wish my kids liked. I love that church, but the people in it. I was in a bad spot, and a mom was just saying, hey, I'll treat you out to Bogger's restaurant. Like, you know, and I wasn't like, I was in a really bad spot. Like, most churches be like, ooh, shame on you. You're evil, right? Or not evil, but a sinner. And it was just like welcoming. And she didn't share. She just accepted me and was kind. And I'm like, that, it was exactly what I needed. You know, I didn't need people that were going through it or growing through it. Like, she was just a well-to-do, like, happily married woman, and, you know, just non-judgmental. Like, that meant, like, supporters and friends are huge. Audrey Hepburn, 1929 to 1993, said, nothing is more important than empathy for another human being suffering. Nothing. Not career, not wealth, not intelligence, certainly not status. We have to feel for one another, even if we're going to survive with dignity. There's an anonymous quote. Friends are the angels of life. You never lose by loving. You always lose by holding back. Young Pueblo said, attributes of a good friend. They feel like home. They are honest with you. They remind you of your power. They support you in your healing. They have a revitalizing presence. They hold a vision of your success. They support you in new adventures. They lift you up with joy and laughter. They bring out the best version of you. So that's 181. Yeah, I can't put any more on the drying rack. So I'm going to turn the page. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, so do you have any good friends? Do they meet any of those? Do you value them? That's amazing if you do, because not everyone does. So definitely appreciate it. So I also have anti-crap coaches as a topic of 182. Victims to survivors. Anti-crap coach has experience in flushing their own crap, can facilitate groups. Yeah, some of this I was like picturing like a whole like thing. And work with an individual to discover new methods and perspectives to flush crap and avoid future crap. Anti-crap coaches can, 1, educate another on the sources of crap. Faulty thinking, others, nature, culture, situation, memories, experiences, crappy life philosophy, information, etc. Listen to another, talk out their crappy issues, situations, other ways to view crap, potential solutions. Guide, coach, facilitate another to develop a crap-reducing action plan, which should include checkups and a crap relapse plan. Gurus, 183. Ooh, I forgot I have things down here. Okay, I will be back for 183. Let me slide some of these dishes away. You're like, what is going on? Why did somebody do this? Because there's just only so much time in the day, right? So, gurus of the anti-crap movement. Some people have been anti-crap advocates for so long that their lessons are priceless. The majority of these individuals, one can only read and study what they did. Others are still alive and waiting to help. They often have worked 30 plus years experience. If you're lucky, you get to work with them or have them as parents or grandparents. There are countless gurus in assisted living homes and nursing homes. Gurus are often waiting for us to ask and listen so their wisdom can be used and outlive them. Take the time to learn from the godfathers and godmothers of your cause and or struggle. The guru, Tani Naga, in her article, The Guru Inside You, the guru or a dispeller of darkness is a person who lifts the veil of confusion and helps us to see the light of truth. These holy people live a unique existence which requires extraordinary commitment. Albert Einstein, the only source of knowledge is experience. So I do love working with the older population, and I even remember just being like, I think 17 or 18 and talking to a gentleman who was in his 70s who worked at the door in Baltimore and was one of the founders, Jim Davenport, and it was just so neat listening to him about how Baltimore was, you know, if I was like, you know, 50 plus 60, 70 years ago, you know, like, because we're talking back in the 90s when I talked to him, and then you're just like, it's just amazing because these people, he's been like in the trenches trying to help build the community. He's passed away, God bless him, but I'm sure he's in a good space, you know, in the trenches for like 40 years trying to help communities that are falling apart. And he's like, it was different, you know, there was no drugs, that, you know, there was not, like, once things came in, and social workers, our history is we actually checked to give welfare to make sure no dads were there. So the whole single epidemic kind of launched because it's like we paid more than minimum wage type of thing. So it's like if you had one head of household working and there, they could make more if he left. I think. It's a theory. It may not be true. Everything I say, fact check it. Never believe what people say. Even the quotes, I did not fact check every quote. So we're doing the best we can. But the point of this book is to think for yourself too. So, yeah. So anti-crap visionaries is the 11th category of my people that recover from crap. We're on page 184. Those who envision a crap-aware future. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Harriet Tubman sung this. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Rosabeth Moss and Harriet Tubman was 1822 to 1913. Rosabeth Moss Katner, 1943. A vision is not just a practice of what could be, it is an appeal to our better selves, a call to become something more. Jonathan Swift, 1667 to 1745. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. Carl Jung, 1875 to 1961. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who look outside dreams, who look inside awakes. Sophia A. Nelson, born 1967. A visionary is one who sees beyond his present reality or circumstance and paves the way for others who come after him to get where he himself would like to be. I think as a parent, I want to be like I want my kids to stand on my shoulders. You know what I mean? I want them to do better than me, to, you know, the next generation. I'm like, man, I almost want to do like a 6th grade appeal. Be like, you guys going into 6th grade, because my daughter is, be the class that learns from all the previous generations' stupidity on deaths of despair. You can have so much more fun rock climbing, whitewater rafting, caving, doing, like, it is kind of fun to do like team building activities around the world to like fix up houses, dig wells, you know, like things like that's actually kind of like exciting, like traveling and things like that. Like there's better things to do than to drink or think life is about you and your problems. Like you could have a whole generation where there's like 0 suicides, 0 overdoses. Like it's totally doable. Like that is the vision. We could also end world hunger. Like those are kind of like deaths of despair to me are like individual choices, and individuals with power or means not helping the least, where I'm like, why is there still like contaminated water places? Like why aren't we focused on that? And I get there's a lot going on, but I think we could actually have a generation that's smarter than us, and like, you know, but you need people with visions to tell them so, you know. I was the class of 2000 in high school, and I just kept hearing like, you're the future leaders, you know, and it kind of sticks. It's like, well, why not? Why aren't you a leader? You could be a leader, anyone watching this. Why not? Like, why don't you want to change the world too? Find what, I'll get into that later, but there was this one, Hannah something, did a 5-minute amazing talk when she was a kid, and she let me quote it, but we're on 185, Anti-Crap Leaders. Walter P. Carter, I know his daughter, Jill Carter, and we actually went out, like, had dinner a couple of times, and she was like a senator, a delegate in Baltimore, really a phenomenal woman. Her dad is like named on hospitals and things like that. He lived 1923 to 1971. Cities are in throes of death. Our world is neurotic and confused. But we cannot be afraid to move, nor can we become immobilized by fear of failure. The world is not so complex that highly intelligent, articulate, dedicated men cannot address its problems. Decisions must be made in the face of the erosion of the world's spiritual and moral fiber. We must take men where they are, get maximum involvement, encourage voluntary participation, pace it all reasonably. Rosalind Carter, former First Lady, born 1927. A leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. Quincy John Adams, the 6th U.S. President, 1767, 1848. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Anti-crap leaders are often anti-crap visionaries, or at least listen to the visionaries and many more. And I don't know if I have anti-crap, like, parents who really just, like, embrace their kids and help them and navigate. You know, I feel like we're this on a smaller thing, too. There's a lot of quotes, I think that it's in here, on how family matters, and I just remember being young and being told, like, if you end up having kids, don't put this ahead of it, because I volunteered a lot before I had kids, and I was like, you know, they're like, no, like, your kids are your responsibility first. So it's like everything's kind of like when you don't have kids, you have a lot more freedom to do more, but when you do, you're kind of like creating these people that may outlive you and do, who knows, no pressure on them. They may be quiet little souls, but I'm like, they will be kind. So page 186. It always seems, Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013. It always seems impossible until it's done. So if you feel like, you know, it's fun working on projects and you're like, is it going to happen? And you're like, it's fun when it's done. You just got to work your butt off and pace it all reasonably. But yeah, that's why the dishes piled up, because I'm like, oh, I can go do this, this, and this. And yeah. But Albert Einstein, great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Joel A. Barker, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. Arnold Schwarzenegger, born 1947, if you want to turn a vision into reality, you have to give 100% and never stop believing in your dream. George Washington Carver, 1864 to 1943, where there is no vision, there is no hope. And Julius Arian, 1914 to 2014, the visionary is the one who brings his or her voice into the world and who refuses to edit, rehearse, perform, or hide. It is the visionary who knows the power of creativity is aligned with authenticity. So it's fine that I'm not editing it. Yeah, thank you. All right. 187. Anti-crap reformers. There are some who want this multi-generational bubble of darkness that has had deaths of despair, suicide, and overdoses increase, and preventable world hunger to come to an end, and be reformed to a culture where peace, love, transparency, kindness, and compassion thrive. A time where the vast majority accept that we each have a purpose, respect that each person is unique and important, focus on making sure each person has food, water, safety, and people have hope because our world is changing for the better. That's my dream. Anti-crap reformers work towards the vision of reforming, changing our culture for the better, often one person at a time. Margaret Mead, 1901 to 1978, said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Bashar al-Assad, "You cannot reform your society or institution without opening your mind." Liu Xan, 1881 to 1936. "You have to reform yourself before reforming society and the world." St. Ignatius of Loyola, 1491 to 1556. "He who goes about to reform the world must begin with himself, or he loses his labor." "No reform is possible without repentance," is Leila Gafti Akadha. Derek A. Bell, 1930 to 2011. "Education leads to enlightenment. Enlightenment opens the way to empathy. Empathy foreshadows reform." And that was in Faces at the Bottom of the Well, The Permanence of Racism, published in 1992. I don't know. So anyone here want to change the world for the better? Want to be friends? We can do it together. No, it really is fun. Since I've been doing Share Hair Through Art, which has been a nonprofit, it's I've met just amazing people who are community members trying to do stuff, volunteering or starting nonprofits, and there really are countless people that want to make the world better. From PTO people, I know the PTO are amazing people, and they're trying to make it better for our kids, and I'm so grateful for them. That's really a lot of change really starts with just individuals and building up schools, and it doesn't have to be on social media or on a TV show or on you don't have to. I saw the funniest live stream of somebody sitting in the stream, just sitting there in the live stream. Somebody filmed them and they're just sitting in their chair in the stream. It was moving. It was funny. Okay, so we're on page, I think I'm just gonna wash. Oh gosh, it keeps going. I need a drink. Ooh, chapter 4, bullies and survivors. What's needed to help bullies stop? What's needed to help victims become survivors? This is fun. Boundary. This is our boundary reminds us. This is an unknown source I found on Mind Journal and different things, but it's like an acronym. Be aware of what is unacceptable and normalize saying no. Do what is best for you and know that it's not your responsibility to sacrifice yourself for others. The whole self-care does matter. You need a boundary. What's needed to help bullies? We're on 189. Crap-aware parents, teachers, speakers, social workers, and therapists who strive to be crap-free and reduce crap. Education and support to reduce constipation, crap flushing techniques. Crap talks to discuss their personal issues. Crap support groups, crap awareness, this book, anti-crap coaches. Discipline that empowers people to change the ways of dealing with their crap. Anti-crap advocates to continue to reduce crappy environments. Crap cleaning education, anti-crap coaches, crap-aware therapists, healthy boundaries, modeling healthy behavior and communication. Book can be used in all above steps. Henry Watson Longfellow, 1807 to 1882. If we could reach the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each man's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. Do you get that? I need to read it again. A lot of quotes, I'm like, let me read it like 3 times. If we could reach the secretive history of our enemies, we would find in each man life's sorrow, suffering enough to disarm all hostility. It's a good quote. I would also say, like, crap talks, not to discuss their personal issue. Like, you want that with people, but like we want the trainers and stuff. Like, I would love to like start talking to like even kindergartners. You're wonderful, you're great. We could like do it, but you're human and you may be wrong. Question your thoughts. You know, are your thoughts helpful? Are they hurtful? Like, is it right? Is it not? Like, start like integrating like cognitive behavior therapy younger, because it's like we build them up. So then when they think, oh, it'll never get better, they believe that, well, they're so smart, they must be right. So we need to like retrain, I think, how we do education and mental health, and really be like, hey, like, dialectic behavior therapy is 2 opposing feelings or thoughts can be true at the same time, right? So you can be like wonderful, made in the image of God if you're Christian, all these things, but you're also not God and you don't know everything, and your thoughts could be wrong. Like, we could start training that so young, you know, like, so that we have a generation that questions their thoughts. And if you have bad thoughts, that does not make you a bad person, because some people have thought that and like, oh no, it's like a human thing. I don't know if other creatures or anything have like these negative intrusive thoughts. I don't think everyone does, but it's very common. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone had it at least like once, you know, like, but yeah, I think that's going to be like the biggest change in how to do it also, is like that, you know, questioning your thoughts. Because I'm like, people often make bad choices either because they've repressed stuff, so they're not aware, like, why did I do what I do? Often people are like, I don't know, because it's so repressed, they don't really understand what's not healed and why that amygdala, fight, flight, freeze, spawn, impulsive decisions is going. Like, they don't know why their really thoughtful brain wasn't engaged, because like, brain science isn't like common sense. And, you know, if we started, I don't know, I just think we could do so much on that level, because that's like mine, yeah. But like, I think that's part of how do we help bullies and other things. How do we discipline? Behavior is often caused by people, we're on page 190, is often caused by people who have not dealt with their own crap, well, behavioral issues, I guess. Do we give them a crappy punishment? Send the message that they are crappy, likely cause more crap for individual. Do we consider the punishment the cause of behavior, how to help the person who is acting out? So like, when I was worked for the state in the child welfare department, family team decision making model or community conferencing model, both are facilitating to find the best solution possible, promote conversation, listening, and expressing how actions made others feel, maximum involvement to those involved, from school to church leader, neighbors, those who care about person struggling. Do we talk to them? Do we get them help? Listen to them, however consequences may be needed. Seneca the Younger, who lived 4 BC to 65, he who spares the wicked injures the good. So you need punishments, but like, so family team decision making meetings where you invite everyone that's involved in this potential child in foster care. Whoever has any stake, whether it's a neighbor or a coach or somebody, like you try to invite everybody to the table that wants to help this kid, right? And then you have rules. So I think the first rule is no interrupting. The next one's like no idea is a bad idea because it's like a brainstorming session. And being respectful, right? And just really like, some of the ideas are off the wall, right? We're not gonna just all go on a cruise ship and live on a cruise ship or something. Like, not that that's ever come up, but like, you know, we're just honoring it. We're not gonna be like, well, that makes no sense. We're not gonna like get defensive over it. We're just gonna kind of do it. And then we're kind of like, how are we gonna help maintain this child in the best environment possible? You know, if a child, like, you could do the same thing. A child acts out in school. It's like, okay, we're gonna have a meeting, and we're like, this is the situation. How can we help this not repeat again? Do we need you to get you in counseling? Do we need, like, what do we need to do to help you not do it? Yes, you may have to switch classes to not be around that student, or you may have to be expelled or change schools, but like, we don't want to just throw, like, we want to help you as a human being be the best you and heal, right? So it's like a different, 100% you need to have consequences though, but they should be like done in love, not thoughtless, like intentional, loving, trying to build them to be the best version. And of course, like, you can have clients that come in your office and just right? And I don't do any mandated, all my clients are voluntary and they're welcome to leave anytime. And I'm not, if I did court mandated, I would have to like practice like 40 minutes away, because I work near where I live. So I'm like, I may see you in the community, but like, if I was doing court mandated, I don't know if I want that. We're on page 191. On to Nelson Mandela said, in Africa there is a concept known as, and I probably am saying the word wrong, Ubuntu, the profound sense that we are all human only through the humanity of others, that if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will in equal measure be due to the work and achievement of others. Desmond Tutu, 1931 to 2021. Bringing people together is what I call Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Far too often people think of themselves as just individuals, separated from one another, whereas you are connected and what you do affects the whole world. When you do well, it spreads out. It is the whole of humanity. There was something shared on social media, and I didn't see who did it. In certain regions of South Africa, when someone does something wrong, she is taken to the center of the village, and for 2 days, she is surrounded by his tribe while they speak of all the good she has done. They believe that each person is good, yet sometimes we make mistakes, which is really a cry for help. They unite in this ritual to encourage the person to reconnect with his true nature. The belief is that unity and affirmation have more power to change behavior than does shame and punishment. This is known as Ubuntu, humanity towards others. Pythagoras, 570-493 BC. Educate the children and it won't be necessary to punish the men. That's why, like, I think education and stuff matters so much, because you are actually creating, like, the next generation of adults. And I don't think really I hope people don't forget that. And that's why I'm like, yeah, that was like 2,500 years ago somebody said that. Or it's attributed to them. Alright. Where is my water at? My water. Thank you so much for tuning in and everything. And we're going to 192, so we're almost at, almost at 40% done. So thank you for tuning in and okay. Why am I reading this book? Why do I want to finish it? Because there are people that are blind that it may be helpful for. There's people that can't read English as a first language or comprehend, like the English language is off, like has so many random rules and then they don't apply the rules to our language. It's very confusing. And I'm hoping to edit it with the words so that the deaf community can just see the words too, which is like a lot of work, but it's one of my, like, do I want to go get my doctorate? Do I not? I'm like, I just want to get this book. Like, this is my, you know, some people are just like cursed with like an idea. And I don't know if it's a curse or not, but they have it. It's heavy on the heart, and they got to do something about it. It's not about like, oh, this is what I want to do. It's like, this is, I don't know anyone else that wrote this book, you know? So it's like other people can get their doctorate and teach and all that. I'm like, no, this is what I'm working on now. It talks of basic crappy talk. So what's a basic crappy talk? It talks about thoughts, emotions, experiences, environments, behaviors that cause the worst constipation. It talks about coping techniques to deal with crappy experiences from start to flush. It talks of more personal responsibility and ways to help reduce crap within self, family, neighborhood, state, country, world. Did anything crappy happen to you today? Oh, I'm sorry, I just said something crappy. It's not true. I just need to learn to deal with my own crap better. I love you even with your crap. Page 193. So that's just kind of a fun page. Crap cleaning education. So Pablo Picasso, 1881 and 1973. Through education comes understanding. Through understanding comes true appreciation. All children are artists. The problem is, how do we remain an artist once we grow up? Once he grows up, right? I think that's so true. Like, how do you, yeah. I feel like our culture and education often pushes conformity. Like, even art classes have to, like, work towards improving standardized testing score and be very, like, specific. Like, that free thinking, like, creative thing, that's why I love creating matters, and why I love the idea of creating community art spaces where it's like, here's supplies, have fun, and use that part of your brain that's, like, creative and coming up with new ideas. And I'm like, no, like, no one's going to be told exactly what they have to do. We can have suggestions, but that, we don't want, you know, we want people to come up with, like, their own decisions, because, like, you know, it's like school, we tell people what to do, and then they become adults and they have to figure it out. Like, they may have never had to make their own decisions, and then, well, what a job do I apply to? Oh no, and what if the job has me, like, be creative? I don't know how to, I know how to pass a test and write a paper, but, like, come up with something, you know. Creativity matters. Alan Bloom, 1930 to 1932. Education is the movement from darkness to light. Jean Piaget. The principle, he's a Swiss development psychologist, philosopher, in 1869, 1980. The principle of goal of education in the schools should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. Education is not the same as crap enabling. John W. Gardner, 1912 to 2002, Secretary of Health and Education Welfare under President Lyndon Johnson, said, "Much of education today is monumentally ineffective. All too often we are giving young people cut flowers when we should be teaching them to grow their own plants." Jackie Fresco, 1916 to 2017, "We are not taught to be thinkers but reflectors of our culture. Let's teach our children to be thinkers." Israel Moore Ayavor, "Grow your talents and skills through a consistent practice and progressive learning. Learn or relearn and unlearn. Raise the bar for yourself always." J.M. Fields, "Unlearning is of the same importance as learning, because to unlearn something is to be conscious of what we have learned and our ability to change it." So many people have to unlearn a lot. Like, I'm like, we talked about crappy discrimination. I'm like, that makes no sense. You know, so I think in general, like, I'm sure there's things, like, I definitely question a lot of things, but a lot of people have a lot to I don't know. Is there anything you need to unlearn? Unlearning, even changing thought patterns or behaviors, or, yeah. I'm hoping the book people pops it and just talk about things, like, not just read it. I'm hoping it launches conversations, and who knows. I can only do what's in my control to do, and I'm able to wash dishes and talk to myself. It's funny, because if you actually don't know me in person, I'm pretty quiet. I really love listening and giving feedback, but talking to myself is like a new thing. But my bonus starters like said they liked it, so I was like, oh, I'll do it then. So page 194. People feeling crappy act crappy. They need help dealing with their crap. When another person makes you suffer, it is because he suffers deeply within himself. As his suffering is spilling over, he does not need punishment, he needs help. That's the message he is sending. That not high. Han, 1926 to 2022. Socrates, 470 to 399 BC. Those who are hardest to love need it the most. And there's a quote you probably have seen a lot. Hurt people, but heal people heal, right? So I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a great quote. I don't know if anyone can say they said it first because it's been around. Sharing crap to flesh it, page 334, aka Healing from Sorrow. Starhawk and Globalized Liberation on page 49. When we are not allowed to regain compassion, to admit our fear, to share our grief, and heal our sorrows, we become less effective advocates for the things we are fighting for. I guess I said that one twice, but that's okay. Karen Salmanasan. Sometimes you just need to talk about something, not to get sympathy or help, but just to kill its power by allowing the truth of things to hit the air. I think sometimes also, like, I don't like being a mandated reporter when the person who did something's been dead 50 years, right? Like, that's not fun. Like, what? Like, I want people to heal. But I've had clients where you just do the report and then they're free to talk. Because I'm like, they're not gonna, when you do a CPS report, currently, based on the trainings and all I know, you have to, all social workers, teachers, have to do it, which is like, there should be like, is the person still alive? Were they a teacher? Like maybe like a 5-year or 10-year like rule on once they're dead, like how long do you have to report it? But I think it's just indefinitely. So if you have like a client who's, 100 and it happened 80 years, 90 years ago, you still have to report it. I'm like, that's silly to me. But sometimes once you do it, it's just like being able for people to articulate it, so it's just not like very dark and just shedding light on it. And some people like even like write their childhood self a letter being like, this isn't your fault, you didn't cause this, you were innocent in this wasn't something you caused, like certain things. But sometimes just talking about really hard things can just kind of like get it off your shoulders, like get it out of your backpack in the kid version, like it weighs a lot more when it's a secret. So then I have crap free communities on page, now I want to get to 200. Can I start, where can I dry things over here? We are creatures of community, those individual societies and cultures who learn to take care of each other, to love each other, and nurture relationships with each other during the past several 100,000 years were more likely to survive than those that did not. And that's Dr. Dean Ornish in the Preventative Medicine Institute, Love and Survival, 2004. Google restorative practices to learn more ways to improve and repair relationships and communities to prevent a ton of crap and help deal with bullies in a positive way. What to do with crappy experiences, feelings, and emotions? Questions, and you can pause if you're in a group, but do you deal with your crap? Do you know how to use a toilet paper or wipes and flush the toilet without clogging it? Do you pretend crappy things never happen to you? Do you try to make others feel worse than you do? Do you see the world through crap-filled perspectives? Do you try to buy your happiness and or look perfect? Do you learn what actions, beliefs, thoughts cause the worst craps? Do you talk about crap to help others? Do you talk about crap to seek pity? Do you talk about crap to express, process what you're feeling, to work through it, and to help yourself? Richard Oliver, letting people be wrong about you or a situation while keeping your peace and focus is the most misunderstood power move you will ever make. What are your thoughts on this quote? I'm going to repeat it. Letting people be wrong about you or a situation while keeping your peace and focus is the most misunderstood power move you will ever make. A lot of people really struggle with what people think of them. That's something I used to struggle. I'm like, am I making sense? Is it, you know. And when we lost somebody close to our circle to suicide, it changed it from do I make sense to what if one person one day somehow sees something I'm doing and gets help. So now my focus is like, maybe it'll help. It may not help you, but it might help somebody someday, somewhere. So it's worth doing, because my self-esteem or whatever, like my identity's a helper. So I'm like, if it could help, I'm hoping it doesn't hurt. You know, but I'm probably often misunderstood. And I'm kind of like, that's fine. You can misunderstand me, but I know my intention is to help one person one day somewhere. So I'm going to do it and be willing to be misunderstood. Okay. Cause like, it's fine. And actually this book, just so you know, came out of like a small book, and people were like, that would be so fun to do like a whole bunch of series. And I came up with the series idea, and I share fine. Like I've dealt with depression, but when you're depressed, you like brain shuts down, doesn't work. So I was like, man, that's kind of like anxiety provoking to do a series of books. So I was like, I'm just going to keep going with one. And then it just kept growing. So the idea of making it into like an easier chewable series is like not scary now, but like, cause it's already kind of like done where I can just chunk it into like less, big ones isn't, you know, I don't know. So yeah, cause there's an anxiety of like having had mental. So there's like, once you have mental illness, you kind of more or less have it, unless it's adjustment disorder, but like untreated versus treated are like two different dynamics. So it's like, it's treated, it's under control, but yeah, it's still like a fear of like, I don't know, what if it comes again, or, you know, but it's been like a long time. So yeah, but it motivated me to write a huge book. And I'm like, this would be so fun to have in like philosophy or like my grad school classes, or like a high school like wellness class of like, let's chew on this, right? You could just read, like, everyone choose a topic that they want to talk about. Like, you don't have to read the whole thing. Crap-free awareness talks. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. And that's Nido Qubein. The Three People is actually I had Andrew Scozzi design that for me, because it's like past, present, future. So it's like my little logo. So past, we need to know the crap from the past so we learn to and stop repeating the same mistakes. And it's like we have our personal past, and then we have our shared collective past, like our history. So it's good to know both of those. The present, we need to know the current crappy situations and often make daily sacrifices to have the most crap-free future. The future, we need to analyze how our past and current decisions are likely to create, increase, or reduce crap in the future. So past, present, future may be considered for living life and making decisions. Ben Carson in One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future, on page 44, he wrote it in 2015. Another excellent reason to be familiar with history is to avoid repeating the same mistakes. I wish I paid more attention in history, but you can always, so it's like I can still learn more. I can always still learn more. Page 199. We're going to get there. We're going to get to 200. The future never takes care of itself. This is Dennis Kimbrough, born 1950. The Wealth, Choice, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. The future never takes care of itself. It is taken care of, shaped, molded, and colored by the present. Our todays are what our yesterdays made them. Our tomorrows most inevitably be the product of our todays. Shashi Tharoor, born in 1956. The past is not necessarily a guide to the future, but it does partly help explain the present. Corey Ten Boom, who's a concentration camp survivor. Worrying is carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength. Carrying 2 days at once. It is moving into tomorrow ahead of time. Worrying doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow, it empties today of its strength. Ooh, I like that one. I like that a lot. Worrying is carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength, carrying 2 days at once. It is moving into tomorrow's ahead of time. Worrying doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow, it empties today of its strength. Just because the past didn't turn out like you wanted it, doesn't mean your future can't be better than you ever imagined. Ziad Abdelnour, born 1960. The future of American society would depend on the emotional intelligence of its children. Daniel Goleman, born 1946. To wish you were any different in the past means you have grown since. You have become more compassionate, more confident, and value time more. Forgive who you were and celebrate who you are. It took a lot to get here. Do Zantamata. Page 200. Woohoo. Know your history. Herbert George Wells, 1866-1946. Human history becomes more and more a race between education and catastrophe. Auguste Comte, 1798-1857. To understand a science it is necessary to know its history. Howard Zahn, 1922-2010. History is important. If you don't know history, it is as if you were born yesterday. If you were born yesterday and nobody up there in a position of power can tell you anything, you have no way of checking up on it. Matt T. Stepanek, 1990-2004. While we are living in the present, we must celebrate life every day, knowing that we are becoming history with every work, every action, every deed. I try to add the dates of life because I'm like, hey, we're all alive right now. Like, everyone watching this, we're alive right now. Like, you might be watching this in 50, like, you know, I mean, you know, who knows, but for those watching live, we're making history. How do we want to make that history, right? Like, do we want to learn from the past mistakes? Do we want to, you know, they talk about breaking generational family cycles, but what about, like, community cycles? Like, just, like, beyond our families, you know? Like, I want to create a better world. I want to be part of that history. You know, we're all characters. Like, a lot of, like, cognitive behavior therapy, and a few of them, they're like, you're the director of your life. You're the driver of the bus. You may have negative thoughts or this or that, but, like, you're the one deciding on which way you go. No one else can stop you. Like, that's you. That's the joy of being an adult. So that was page 200. All right, should I stop for now? All right, somebody's still watching, so I'm going to keep going. All right, 201. Current examples promoting ignorance and arrogance by example is crappy. And not crappy quotes challenging Westworld. Kanye West, there's a quote, I don't know if it's true, but he said, I feel like I'm too busy writing history to read it. I actually don't like thinking. 2 different quotes. I don't know if it's true, but I was like, oh, that's crappy. Confucius responded in 551-476 BC. Obviously, he wasn't responding, but I like to, like, have dialogues with quotes. To study and not think is a waste. To think and not study is dangerous. And Kanye West also is quoted, and I don't know if it's true, my greatest pain in life is that I will never be able to see myself perform live. I'm the #1 human being in music. That means any person that's living or breathing is number 2. Steve Harvey, people don't like to hear the truth out there because the truth makes them think. Leonardo da Vinci, 1452-1519, he who thinks little errs much. Donald Trump, the worst thing in history have happened when people stop thinking for themselves, especially when they allow themselves to be influenced by negative people. And what gives rise to dictators, avoid that at all costs. Stop it first on a personal level, and you will have contributed to a world sanity as well as your own. Donald Trump. So Trump, President Trump, so this was, I don't know when he quoted this, but it was the worst thing, but there's, like, different things on Trump, so the irony of, I don't have any conclusions on anything, but The worst thing in history have happened when people stop thinking for themselves, especially when they allow themselves to be influenced by negative people. That's what gives rise to dictators. Avoid that at all costs. Stop it first on a personal level, and you will have contributed to world sanity as well as your own. So if people are kind of jumping on what one person says without questioning it and researching it and making sure it makes sense, it's not a good thing, according to Trump's quote, which you can definitely, you can research and see if it's true. And I don't know when he said it, but it didn't have him, it was before he was president again. I try to quote all the presidents, so I'm trying not to show anything. So John Maiden, 1936 to 2021. Self-praise is for losers. Be a winner. Stand for something. Always have class and be humble. So, you know. I may have to, I'm going to try, turn the page. That's so funny though, that some quotes that different people make are known different, like, I don't know, if people actually, the dynamic we live in today, a lot of people like listen to like a 15 second clip and they're like, oh my gosh, they said this, and they don't like hear the whole conversation or what they're like responding to. And it's just like the irony of it, that this 15 seconds makes somebody look good or bad. It's just like, seriously, like, I need to hear the whole conversation and make a judgment on it. Okay, thanks. I had to put some away to dry them and put them over. So we are on page 202. But have you ever, like, do you hear something and like read like 2 or 3 paragraphs, or like hear a reel and you're like, oh, that's what happened, and you're like, that could have been like a but state, like a, yes, this is true, but we're doing it because of that. Like it may not, I don't know. I think a lot of things are taken out of context and people just jump on it. I don't know. Don't repeat crap. George Santayana, 1863 to 1952. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Eckhart Tolle, 1948. There is a fine balance between honoring the past and losing yourself in it. For example, you can acknowledge and learn from mistakes you made and then move on and refocus on the now. Author unknown. The past is like using your rear view mirror in the car. It's good to glance back and see how far you've come, but if you stare too long, you'll miss what's right in front of you. Deepak Chopra. Every time you're tempted to react in the same old way, ask if you want to be a prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future. Excuse me. Trevor Noah. Don't cry about your past. Life is full of pain. Let the pain sharpen you, but don't hold on to it. Don't be bitter. He was born in 1984. I'm a little bit older than him. And I have Kleenexes in my office, and I'm like, release it. Let it out. It's a safe space. But yes, we want to move on and grow, right? Future is open is hashtag 203. Pema Chodron, born 1936. The future is completely open and we are writing it moment by moment. Thomas Jefferson. I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. 1743 to 1826. Theodore Seuss Geisel, Dr. Seuss, 1904 to 1991. Only you can control your future. Mother Teresa, 1910 and 1997. The future is so much in the hands of God, I find it much more easy to accept today because yesterday is gone and tomorrow has not come. And I only have today. I have only today. Bill Keane, 1922 to 2011. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift of God, which is why we call it the present. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break on page, whoa, no, I do want to get to why do bullies say or write mean, crappy things. It helps to remember when people, so we're on page 204. It helps to remember when people say mean things that they have problems dealing with their crappy insecure experiences and insecurities. Don't take mean words personally. Be resistant to mean words because their words show how the crappy talkers have not dealt with their crap well. FYI, if anyone called you stupid, the name caller probably feels stupid. Same with ugly, etc. The defense mechanism If offensive words said or written to you directly, often it's called projection. If said behind your back, it's a projection or passive aggressive. P.M. Foreigner, in Choosing Civility, the 25 Rules of Considerate Conduct, has a great point in his chapter on civility and self-expression. He said, the unruly, the brazen, the reckless give self-expression a bad name. Going through life under the sway of unchecked impulses may count as self-expression, but it is irresponsible self-indulgence, and painful collisions are sure to happen. 1951 to 2018. Beneath every behavior there is a feeling, and beneath each feeling is a need. And when we meet the need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with the cause, not the symptom. Ashley Warner, unknown. When you learn to see the lesson in every situation, things don't affect you the same way they used to. You begin to grow through everything you go through. You start shifting your energy to create what you want, and you stop worrying about what you cannot control. Brooke Davis. Sometimes life will kick you around, but sooner or later you will realize you're not just a survivor, you're a warrior, and you're stronger than anything life throws your way. I know I have a page on, like, I really feel like we could also be done with bullying, because, like, if people are just kind of like, ooh, that was really mean. Like, you just, like, what's wrong with you, right? Like, if you want to be like, who has a problem in the room? The bully does. Happy people don't bully. Peaceful people don't bully. So, like, insecure people don't bully. So you're kind of like, if somebody's bullying, you're kind of like, yeah, like, no offense, but you're just kind of like, what a miserable human being, right? Like, you're like people should be ashamed of bullying just because it's embarrassing. It's like, you know, not the scarlet letter, but it's like, your actions show you're emotionally immature. You're not healed. There's something wrong. Like, you have, like, you really, like, all right, sweetheart, something's obviously wrong because you're not acting peaceful, so you're not at peace with yourself. We need to get you some help, you know? Of course, there's consequences, but, like, if people started seeing, like, if it was just, like, public knowledge that bullies, like, were broken, I think people would be, oh, yay, we have the, okay. It will show up right when we edit it, if we get to that. Crap proof! How to become crap proof? We need a crap proof shield. I wrote this before I read the bucket fillers book, this page. But they have, like, the bucket fillers have buckets, dippers, and lids, and they have, like, the lid of resilience. But I just have it being crap proof. Like, we have a shield of, like, ooh, that was crappy. And it doesn't, like, you observe it, you see it, you don't internalize it, right? So you're just kind of, oh. But, like, we want people safe. So obviously there needs to be, like, a lot of rules. But what's needed to help victims, aka survivors of bullying. Ability to So being crap proof. So if you don't have that resiliency, like, if somebody says or does something mean to you, you're gonna, like, internalize it, but, like, something's wrong with me, and not realize, whoa, something's wrong with them, right? Like, you're, like, internalizing it. Understanding of why bullies bully, a shield of wisdom to make them crap proof. Crap proof, being able to see the offensive, crappy words and or actions by another, not personally, but as the other's crap. Rise above it. Adults are responsible to build safe spaces and have appropriate ways to address bullying to prevent it from being repeated. George Bernard Shaw, 1856 to 1950. I learned long ago never to wrestle with a pig. You get dirty, and besides, the pig likes it. So often when somebody is bullying, it's almost like they're, like, looking for a reaction or response, get you in trouble, or just, like, it's a very emotionally mature action, and it's one of those, like, not responding. Often they'll just move on. Not always, but Octavia Butler, 1947 and 2006. If you understand how frequently people cope by projecting, you would learn to take absolutely nothing personally. Bruce Lee, you will continue to suffer if you have an emotional reaction to everything that is said to you. True power is sitting back and observing everything with logic. If words control you, that means everyone else can control you. Breathe and allow things to pass. And Yeah, let me just read through it. Don't personalize or internalize other people's behavior. What they do is not a reflection of you. Their actions represent them and where they are in their growth. Just observe instead of getting caught up and overreacting emotionally. Adil Ahmed. Rudyard Kipling, 1865 to 1936. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, ... If is a great poem. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, 1809 to 1865. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Healthy boundaries prevents a lot of crap, especially repeat crap. Laurie Buckman, PhD, said, the characteristics of healthy boundaries include self-respect, non-tolerance of abuse or disrespect, responsibility for exploring and nurturing personal potential, two-way communication of wants, needs, and feelings, expectation of reciprocity, and sharing responsibility and power. Quotes on bullying. Somebody's still watching. Okay. Oh, I do talk about the bucket filler on page 209, but we're on 208. Okay, let me keep rinsing. I have a lot of... We're making progress. Dishes are getting done. Thank you for your patience in joining me this morning. I try to rinse them quietly so it's not too loud. Kind of running out of space, but takes... Yeah, we'll see. So, Tim Field, born in 1952, said, being bullied by a serial bully is equivalent to being stalked or being battered by a partner, or being abused as a child, and should be accorded the same gravity. Any anti-bullying scheme, initiative, or policy which fails to mention accountability for the bullies is likely to meet with little and often no success. That's Tim Field. So we're doing quotes on bullying, and I think in our county they don't really hold the bully accountable. So if you even stuck up for yourself, you could get in trouble, which isn't the way it should be at all, according to Tim Field or most people that research this topic. So there's got to be accountability. Yes, we want them to get help, but you've got to be accountable. And we need to keep people safe, 100%. And I'm not against, I don't know, but each situation is also unique, where you can't be this is the policy always and all that. That's why the family team decision making meeting, bringing people together to make sure that whatever decision you make makes the most sense. Jackie Chan, 1954. I allowed myself to be bullied because I was scared. I didn't know how to defend myself. I was bullied until I prevented a new student from being bullied. By standing up for him, I learned to stand up for myself. Octavia Butler, 1947 to 2006. Not everyone has been a bully or the victim of bullies, but everyone has seen bullying, and seeing it has responded to it by joining in or objecting, by launching or keeping silent, or feeling disgusted or feeling interested. So you do have the option to stand up for bullying, and I know there's a local Sources of Strength that's a cute little program, but standing up to bullying does matter. Lady Gaga said, if you are not being bullied, all I would say, because I like to talk about the other side of it as well, is, be someone that nurtures, and if there's someone in your class that maybe doesn't have a lot of friends, be the person that sits with them in the cafeteria sometimes, because be the bigger person. So there's also there's blatant bullying, and then there's also people that just feel isolated and alone, and you can sit with them. That was, yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Reminder that to those who are surviving bullying, to keep going. The quote is, because somehow the sun rises each day, emerging from the horizon, brighter and more beautiful than the previous day. You'll rise from the horizon, learning to trust again, learning to love again, learning to heal. You'll emerge so bright that the haters will be blinded. And darling, you'll be the sun then, bright and beautiful, but they won't be your sunshine flowers. Mena Hill. You don't need to be friends with the person that bullied you. This whole you got to be friends. No, you don't. You can avoid each other. There's going to be people in life that you are drawn to that bring positivity and empowerment, hope, healing, encouragement, and there's going to be people that don't. And I don't think you have to like run around and block people, but you can choose who you spend ample time with. Page 209. We were just getting through it. It still has somebody joining, so we're going. Being crappy is likely from own crap, having an empty bucket. Melissa McCarthy in People magazine in 2014 on page 50 said, some things are so malicious they knock the wind out of you. It's surprising that anybody could say these things to any human being, but I also feel sorry for these people. On page 15 of Donald O. Clifton, PhD, and Tom Rath, 2004, How Full Is Your Bucket? I think these books are still at my office. So this is the adult version, right? So the adult version is written by people that like studied the concentration camps and emotional abuse versus physical deprivation of like food and stuff, and the emotional abuse of like rewarding people that told on other people in the camp, like the people that were held there and like created this emotional like abusive relationship, died quicker. I think was part of the book. You can read it yourself. I could be wrong. Explains the theory of dippers and bucket. Where's the beginning of the quote? Okay, explains the theory of dipper and bucket. Each of us has an invisible bucket. It is constantly emptied or filled, depending on what others say or do to us. When our bucket is full, we feel great. When it's empty, we feel awful. Each of us also has an invisible dipper. When we use that dipper to fill other people's buckets by saying or doing things to increase their positive emotions, we also fill our own bucket. But when we use that dipper to dip from others' buckets by saying or doing things that decrease their positive emotions, we diminish ourselves. So Karen McLeod mentions using a lid for your bucket. Author mentions the dynamics of some buckets having holes and the importance of healings. So I actually emailed, so that may have been Karen, I don't know which one. I think that was a quote from the adult book. Karen McLeod made the kid books, and I did email their publisher. I was like, you need to do ones with holes, buckets with holes, because like they're all like pretty, and I'm like, you're gonna make kids think that they can make their parents happy. I'm like, no, if they have trauma, like, because like, you know, I study suicides, and when somebody in your family dies by suicide, it's not because you didn't fill their bucket, it's because their bucket's got holes. I'm like, you gotta, like, it's not trauma informed. Like, you gotta make it, you can teach kids trauma informed. They could have, like, if somebody in your family has addictions, self-esteem issues, insecure, doesn't have self-love, it's not because you didn't love them enough. It's because they have holes in their bucket, right? Like, you gotta have a little bit, like, you know, because there's a lot of people that have had a loss or struggle with somebody who's not doing well, and they think it's because they didn't do well enough helping them. And I'm like, no. we gotta teach, start with the kids. Maybe I'll have to make a book on the holes in the bucket, and I don't know. I have it in here. So, having a lid to protect your emotions, well-being, is the exact same thing as a shield of wisdom. Needed to be crap-proof on page 206, we already reviewed, but more age-appropriate for the younger generations. And I say some buckets have holes. That means someone has their own personal problems, and no matter how wonderful you are to them, they are still not happy. This can be because of unhealed trauma, chemical imbalances, addiction, etc. Remember, it is your job to make you happy, and only you can fix the holes in your bucket. Often help is needed. Great analogy for kids and adults. So we can't help the people we love. We have to help ourselves. We can be supportive and be that friend, but we can't, you know. There's a lot of really great organizations, and there's enough organizations. People who have lost people to traumatic situations. I'm like, there's got to be a point where we're like, okay, we can all like step up and help, and we don't need to lose somebody in our circle to get involved. Like, we can do it preventatively and not, I guess, reactively, kind of. Like, I don't know. Like, even doing this book's kind of a reaction, but I started it way beforehand. But like finishing it, I think, is part. Like, if it helps one person, doing it. Okay, I think I'm done talking. We're ending on page 210, so we finished on 209. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye. If I can hit finish. Maybe my hand's too wet. Slow connection. It's not finishing. What's going on? Okay, finish. I know it's a slow connection. There it goes.